House Speaker Kevin McCarthy gave an economic address this morning at the New York Stock Exchange. He shared his plans for the House to vote on the debt ceiling. Let's listen.
In the coming weeks, the House will vote on a bill to lift the debt ceiling into the next year. Save taxpayers trillions of dollars, make us less dependent upon China, curb our high inflation, all without touching Social Security and Medicare.
We have Yahoo Finance contributor Kevin Cirilli with us. Kevin, so how close is McCarthy to getting a House deal approved on this?
I think it's just an opening to an opening bid based upon my reporting. Look, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy reiterating in a New York Stock Exchange address that he wants to see spending cuts tied to raising the nation's debt limit. And that is the Republican position. But Democrats are not on board with that. And in fact, the White House saying just within the last 24 hours that they feel Republicans are holding the nation's borrowing limit hostage. Democrats and Republicans have until about mid-August in order to straighten out this deal. But if they don't, they risk defaulting on the nation's debt, and that would be catastrophic to the economy. The Democrats and Republicans are each saying that neither side is negotiating with them, but lawmakers returned from recess this week, and so maybe, just maybe, those talks will finally get underway.
Good to see you, man. So the White House says McCarthy again failed to clearly outline what House Republicans are proposing and will vote on. Does McCarthy have any idea what House Republicans will vote on? And do you take this one seriously? Is it different than all the times that we've played this political theater game before? Because Kevin McCarthy has a very thin margin. He is skating on thin ice. Anything he does that falls out of line with the right, and he's out.
You know, I think that's a great point. And I interviewed House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, a Republican, an ultra-conservative from Ohio, just the other week. And what he told me was that he ultimately thinks that the debt ceiling will get raised. And so I think that is a tacit admission on behalf of even conservative hardliners that ultimately the debt ceiling will get raised. They're not going into this and saying that it shouldn't, which would be, I think, from a market perspective, perhaps more even anxiety-inducing economically than the angst that and the turbulence that will likely happen over the next couple of months as a result of this. But even the hardliners are predicting that the debt ceiling will, in fact, get raised, which is notable.
Yeah, McCarthy may end up having to pass something largely bipartisan, a clean raise, which could cost him his leadership, quite frankly, in this wild House. He also talked about things that would make us less dependent upon China, which appears to be one of the few things other than TikTok, well, which I guess is related to China, that is bipartisan. Is there any knowledge or consensus around what Congress could do to make us less dependent upon China?
Well, look, there's been even in the last 48 hours, new news that is developed on the U.S.-China front. You've got senior staffers of congressional and both parties visiting Taiwan over the last several days. You have U.S. Trade Representative Tai visiting the Philippines, where obviously U.S.-China relations will be front and center. In contrast to that, China's foreign minister is visiting Russia. China's defense minister is visiting Russia this week and is scheduled to do so. So escalating tensions on that front. The FBI, mind you, just a couple of hours ago announced that they've arrested 2 individuals in New York for using police stations as the Communist Party of China front group. And so I think that as it relates to the bipartisanship on the national security front in terms of dealing with China, that remains strong. And as illustrated, I think, just from anecdotally speaking, just the bevy of trips that have been made from the capital to Taiwan is incredibly notable, given the escalating tensions between China and the United States.
Could become really a central question of this next presidential cycle. Kevin Cirilli, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much.